What about a bad decision, bro? Give us the juicy details. I mean, what have you done to just screw things up?
Gosh, do you want me to talk real estate? Do you want me to talk
Give me the juiciest one you can think of.
Dude, I'll tell you the most recent one that I did that cost me probably over $20,000. So I bought this real estate property, got it off the market or off market. So it wasn't on the MLS. I bought it for 85,000. It was going to take about 45,000 to fix it up. Easily worth 170,000. So I was going to be able to refinance it, pull cash out, do the whole 9 yards. I got a contractor in there because I was being cheap. I got a cheap contractor in there. And because I'm a person that doesn't like to micromanage people and I didn't have the system in place for this property, I pretty much let the contractor do his thing. I showed up one day and he was texturizing as he had put new fixtures in, which is like a big no-no. The job site was a mess. He was jumping from job to job. It was a complete disaster. And the big mistake that I made is not only did I not have the system in place or do my due diligence to make sure he was a good contractor. Yeah. I paid him. I had already paid him up in full and the job wasn't completed. Ooh. So basically I'm out over $20,000 and I had to call up a friend that's a contractor that I never used before because I was like, oh, he's too expensive, even though he does good work. Don't be cheap, man. Don't be cheap. Anyway, so I called him up and I said, dude, I'm in a pickle. Can you come fix this? Now he's working on it and the house is fantastic. And I'm really hoping because of the work he's doing, it might appraise for more than what I originally anticipated. And I'm hoping that I'll still be able to make money on this deal.
Yeah. So the lesson there, you said it several times, don't be cheap, but I think that can apply to so many different areas of business. First off, just because something's expensive, let's identify this. Just because something's expensive doesn't mean necessarily that it's the best. There's a false understanding there as well. But this idea of I'm just going to get it for cheap, usually doesn't work out. Whether that's with your team, whether that's with vendors, whether that's with relationships with other folks. Like I have just experienced this myself. Almost the exact scenario in real estate that you just described. I went through that. I had a guy at the very last, one of his last punch list items. He wanted to do electrical. I'm like, what, bro? Everything else is done. What you talking about? We need to do electrical. Anyway, the reality is that the checklist, but then it's also the mixture with I got to find quality people.
Yeah.
What coming out of that now? Obviously, you just said now I've got systems in place, but how does that help you in the future, having gone through that now?
Yeah, I just had a guy on my podcast and he wrote a book about professional. I think it's called Professional Failure. But it's a great concept and it's true in anything. Is stuff's not a failure unless you don't learn from it. Then it's a failure. This has been a very expensive learning curve for me. So now I know not to make that mistake again, but I'm so grateful that I made the mistake because it could have been a bigger deal with more money down the road. And so I completely learned from this and now I'm able to go forward.
Yeah. Yeah. The mindset of professionally failing is 100% right. For you, does that translate over? I'm curious, into the other businesses, like how does it? Cause it does obviously, but how does this mistake in real estate translate over to the pest control company?
Yeah. I mean, it translates in a couple different ways. First of all, you can look at it as like, I hire the contractor. So he's essentially an employee for me, right? Hire slow, fire fast. Do your due diligence. If someone's not a right fit for the culture or you're having some red flags, fire quickly, but hire slow. That's one thing. The other thing probably is just to make sure you have systems and a team in place, because that's going to propel you and help you to be successful. If it wasn't for the systems I created early on in my pest control business and working on empowering my employees to make those decisions, to make changes so that they can continue to add to the system or improve the system, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah. One thing that you said that I want to just highlight for the listener as well. You said, I'm not the type of person that wants to micromanage. And at some point we realize that people, most people need to be managed. That's why they're not entrepreneurs, right? Or even subcontractors, contractors that we're using, or vendors, they need to be managed to a degree. And so even though it may not be your personal trait that is a good manager, there still has to be managing traits or systems in place. And so maybe it's just a checklist for the contractor, or maybe it's you actually, now you have a checklist of how you follow up on a property or your pest control, whatever it is. The reality there is that whether as an entrepreneur, we like personally to be micromanaged, because that's really what we're saying is, I don't want to be micromanaged.
That's why I'm an entrepreneur.
That's why we're an entrepreneur. But the reality of it is that in order to get stuff done, the process has to be managed. And so if it's not you that's willing to micromanage it, or at least create the system for someone to follow, then you've got to find somebody who can ride the pony, is what I call it. Like we got to get on and we got to go. Like, otherwise it's just never going to get done, at least not to the pace that we're hoping for as entrepreneurs.
I really liked what you said too, is that the process has got to be managed. I have found that 99% of the time, if something is not happening or getting done in the workforce, a lot of times it's not the person, it's the process. So you always got to blame the process, not the person. And so you got to go back and reevaluate. We are implementing a program in my pest control company. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called 2 Second Lane. Okay. Paul Akers, the owner of FastCap, created this. And anyways, one of my mentors, I talked about him to you earlier, is Hugh Carnahan, the Hillbilly Millionaire, has taught me this platform. And essentially what it is it's all about, and this is where I think we miss the mark as business owners. Our purpose in our business, us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, our purpose is to develop our people. That's our number one job. And so if we can develop our people and empower them to problem solve and critically think, and empower them to make changes and allow them to do that, to make their life easier. So whatever's bugging them, fix that thing. Yeah. Dude, you'll start growing so much. It's just been awesome doing that with my company.